Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Eguy. Welcome to another episode of the Ilirpodcast. I'm listening, I'm ready. It's a podcast dedicated for those who are on the go, whether you're traveling by land, air, or sea. I'm excited about today's show. My next guest is an amazing individual. She's a community activist. She's a leader. She's a lawyer. At the heart of everything she does says community. I am so grateful. I am so thankful. I am so humbled to have this conversation with my senator. I am so glad that I feel represented, that she's in the house with us today, but not only in our house, our voice has been heard with the changes that are going even all the way down the hallway of the Senate to make changes so that your future does not have to be the past that you read about.
It's the moment you've been waiting for. It's a conversation that must be had today and not tomorrow. Welcome to another episode of I'm Listening, I'm Ready with your host, Andrew E. Guy. Let's talk about it.
So, Senator, I want to welcome you to the show again. This is our second time talking. I am pumped that you're here. Please say what's up to the people.
It's really, really nice to be back. Really nice to be back. And I'm wearing my yellow jacket. The last interview I had red on. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to wear some yellow and just enjoy the conversation as I did the last time.
Absolutely like it. I think the yellow has to do with some kind of sunshine. There is bright things that are going to happen in the horizon. There's so many things that are on your plate. And I tell you, sometimes I have to like pinch myself and say, I'm actually speaking with the senator, with my senator, because the thing is that I feel represented. I feel like I'm in the house, so to speak. And you have this lofty position, but you're still human. You're still human, and that's what makes you such a great individual to conversate with. So kudos to you. You're wearing it well. You're doing it well. You are doing it Nike way. You're just doing it. And so thank you for being here. But I want to talk to you briefly about, just introduce yourself just so that people can understand who I'm talking to. Because if I tell them, they're going to be like, yeah, right. Please tell them who you are so they can know exactly what you are and what you're doing out there for the people.
So I am Bernadette, and I have been a legal aid lawyer for the last 31 years. I chose to be a lawyer in Cornwall and spent my entire career there. And along the way, I ran for city council to represent and to build. So that happened in 2006. And then in 2018, after 3 terms as a city councilor, I thought it might be time for me to run for mayor of this beautiful city of Cornwall, located on the traditional territory of the Mohawk people of Akwesasne, and was elected in 2018 as the first woman mayor of Cornwall, but also as the first Black woman mayor in Ontario. So that's been an honor, an absolute honor, the gig of a lifetime. And then along the way, the pandemic hit, Black Lives Matter was renewed, and we became more aware of what was happening with Indigenous history and needing to repair the relationship with Indigenous people. So the last couple of years have been extraordinarily intense. And last year, I got a call from the Prime Minister offering me a job as a senator for Ontario. And so I accepted that in June of 2021 and had to step down as mayor because you can't be elected and appointed at the same time. And so it's just been, I just celebrated 1 year as a senator. That's where I am, and that's what's been going on for the last 30 plus years.
Fantastic. I'm telling you, you said it better than I ever would. But you know what's so amazing? Because normally when I have individuals on the show, I would normally read a bio and tell them a bit about the individuals. But just to hear you kind of explain what you do, it almost really solidify your purpose for being in that position. There are people who like being talked about, but to hear you deliver that, it really solidifies, I am here to stay. This didn't happen by accident. I'm here to stay and I'm here to bring about change. And speaking of change, I know quite a bit of things have happened since we've last spoken the last time, but I want to get to some of the heart of some of the things that you're passionate about. You know, in the green room, we're talking about just the indigenous language and making it official. You know, there's French and English, but here we're talking about indigenous language. Can you tell me what that means to you and what change you're hoping to make as a result of that becoming official?
Sure. So I sit on the Official Languages Committee of the Senate. So senators do a lot of work in committee. And that's a very important committee because we're going to be reviewing the Official Languages Act for our country. Hasn't been reviewed in a long time. And so, of course, that's about making English and French official, and also how we treat those languages and how those languages operate in our country. Also protecting French, because French is often in a minority situation and English is in a minority situation in Quebec. So it's very tricky politically, but also very important culturally for our country. So as we're having those conversations, though, we also have to have conversations about the 70 plus indigenous languages that exist in this country, not only in terms of their value as languages, but what they mean culturally and what they mean for us as all Canadians trying to repair this relationship and lean into this relationship with indigenous people, and to learn, keep learning about our history and speak the truth and listen to the truth about the history of indigenous languages and about their need to be renewed, protected, revitalized. So it's a very complicated conversation, Andrew, and I hope to be, part of that conversation from an official languages position, but also as an advocate for indigenous languages and indigenous people coming forward to talk about what it is that is needed.
Well said. When you talk about, the concept, because it's a concept right now before it becomes an action step that is fulfilled. So from a concept perspective, you talk about repairing. Could you talk a little bit more about what does the repairing process look like and why is it important to you?
Yeah. The repairing is really, it's really about building relationship. Mm-hmm. So for example, in Cornwall, we have a unique project, and I talked about this with you the last time.
Yes, you did.
We're co-owners between the City Council of Cornwall and the Mohawk Council. Mm-hmm. We co-own strategic waterfront property. So there's going to be a lot of economic development on that property. It's beautiful property. But before we get to the economic development, we have to build relationship with each other. We Absolutely. Have to break bread with each other.
That's correct.
Regularly, and talk about what is going on in our communities and understand how we can work together. So the repairing is about actually building, and a relationship on an even footing, mm-hmm. where there's respect, but there's also truth telling, right? We have to learn that history and tell the truth about that history and acknowledge that, and then act on that. So that's where it is. So it's really going back to relationship building so that we can repair, tell the truth, listen to the truth, and then move on. We can do all kinds of things, but we need to start with that. And if we don't get that right, we're not going to get to the making money piece and the economic development piece or the healing piece. We're not going to get there.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Senator Clements. Last time we had a conversation, it was Mayor Clements. Now it is Senator Clements. Kudos to you, ma'am. You are doing it. You're wearing it well, and you are living it. As we talk about the repairing process, as we talk about the building process, as we talk about the processes that involve bringing our people back together, you mentioned the word truth. How does truth ring out in the hallways of your building daily? Can you tell me what that looks like, what that sounds like? Take me in the hallway. What does that look like?
Truth is really listening to what people's personal experiences are, what people's lived experience is. You know, the Senate is a colonial institution, and that's not to take away from its importance, but we have to recognize the history behind that. And we have to recognize that the senators sitting there now look more like Canada. There's a more diversity, there's gender parity now for the first time.
Yes.
So that kind of diversity means that we have to be listening to our experiences with respect, listen, lean in, and then act from there. So there are many Indigenous senators now, and when they stand up and give speeches on various topics, they also talk about what is personal to them, what is political. And there's truth-telling there in that chamber. There's truth-telling all over the country, not just in the Senate. And we have to listen and respectfully learn that truth, and then again, act based on that.
Do you think that the truth have been covered up, so to speak, from the years of hurt, the years of neglect, the years of turning the eye, a blind eye, that didn't happen? Do you think this truth that has so-called been hidden has been resurfaced or trying to resurface now? And who do you think will benefit when this truth has been resurfaced and acted upon the right way?
Well, I don't think we're going to advance as a country, as a nation, as Canadians together. I don't think we're going to advance until we really repair, heal, tell the truth about that history. And I mean, I am 57 and I went to school in this country. I went to high school, and I didn't learn the truth. I didn't learn the full truth of our history.
Yes.
You know, and so that's changing. And when I speak to high school students now and younger, I realize that they're getting more of an education around the truth of what happened in this country. So I'm hopeful that we're going to get there, but there's still a long way to go, and a lot more relationship building.
Gosh, I like to go out on a limb and say that the truth is a journey. It really isn't a destination, because a lot of people would say, oh, when I get to the truth, that's the destination. I would really like to come into agreement with you and say that the truth is really a journey. And my grandmother always say that the truth is a biblical principle, that the truth will set us free. And what does freedom look like for the Indigenous people? Matter of fact, Senator, what does it look like for Canada if truth became so real and we took the right action step to be accountable to truth? What does the next Canada look like, truthfully speaking? God, I'm trying to sit on this chair.
The truth is a journey, but I think it's an uncomfortable one, right? We have to show up and do the work.
Yes.
We have to show up and do the work, and we have to be, Indigenous peoples are the ones who are going to tell us what the truth is. They're the ones who are going to do the talking, but they're not the only ones to do the work.
Yes.
We have to do the work, right? And I've heard some people say, well, I'm a new Canadian, or I'm a more recent Canadian, so I don't have blame in that. Well, no. If we're all here together, new Canadians, older Canadians, white Canadians, Black Canadians, Indigenous, we all have to be sitting in this discomfort together. We all have to be showing up and doing the work, whether it's as allies or whether it's to support. We all have to be doing the work. It cannot be just one-sided, one group doing all the work.
Right.
So Canadians, it looks like all of us, getting to the table and doing the heavy lifting together.
God, I'm excited about the kind of Canada that you're talking about. I'm excited to just be able to even have other senators on this show, even natives senators on this show, to kind of have this conversation and just open this Pandora box of truth and start to taking it apart. I just Man, I can only imagine what that would be like. Now, Senator, I know that you're doing some other work and there's some other passionate things that you're involved in, and it's this conversation with the youth. And I know that you're thinking from a holistic perspective. Like your dreams are huge. That's basically what I'm going to say, because you want to bring in the youth, and that's not a short order. It is a tall one. So how do you, I know that you're speaking to the students within the schools and the educational setting now, how do you see or foresee your involvement with the youth in opening their eyes so they can get the message of truth and run with it?
So, I mean, one of my favorite things to do, whether it was as mayor or legal aid lawyer or senator, is to speak to young people. So the Senate has a program, a Cengage program, where we actively go out and speak to schools. I actually also have networks in Cornwall and Stormont, Dundas, Glengarry. So I speak to students in my area. It's my favorite thing to do. And actually, one of the most important things for me to do if I'm to be a good senator. Senators on average are older people. We've done things with our lives. Youth are not sitting in the Senate. So how do we make sure that their voices are there? Well, that has to be part of the work that we do. Part of the work that I do is to be speaking to them regularly, and not just speaking to them, but asking them, so what do you think about this? What do you want me to know when I walk into that chamber? So it really is about a conversation with them and making sure that they're there. Senator Mary Lou McPhedran is trying to lower the voting age from 18 to 16, which I find
Talk to me about that.
I find that really, really interesting. It's been tried before, but never successfully. And so she's come back to try and make this happen in the Senate, because senators, our job is to review legislation made by elected MPs, but we can also put forward our own legislation. That's part of what we can do. And Senator McPhedran is doing that now. And I just think it would be so interesting to have, just at a time when young people are studying their civics courses, right? They're learning about our Canadian democracy. Why not have them study that and then actually be able to vote at around the same time that they're learning about our systems?
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. And so I'm really, really interested in that project, in supporting the senator, but in also speaking to young people to get a sense of how they're thinking about that. And so that's a project that I'm really looking forward to leaning into.
I absolutely think that's a positive thing that you're doing. And not only that, it's radiating through your face, because I think when you're talking about some of the things that you're passionate about, you can't help it. It's just coming out through your face and coming out to your smile. And I mean, you just can't hide it. I'm excited for you. I mean, just trying to get young people to understand that you are part of this journey also. You're not just watching the TV and see some elderly person or them running the country. You are the country. You're the future of the country. Roll up your sleeves, and I want to work with you. Absolutely loving it. And lowering lowering the voting age. How was that welcome when it was first initiated?
Well, it wasn't, right, and it hasn't been yet, because some people are feel quite concerned about that possibility, giving young people that much power over the political process, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think some people feel a bit threatened by that. Oh, if we have young people voting, maybe that'll upset the democratic process. People that'll put parties in power that we don't want to see. But I don't think it's about that. I think that we need to make sure that young people are engaged as early as they can be. By the way, 16-year-olds drive, they work, they pay taxes.
I agree.
So it's not as if the law doesn't already recognize them as contributing members of communities, but also they are very sophisticated around climate change, for example. Like, you talk to a 16-year-old, you have ideas, you have a lot of forward thinking. And that sometimes can be scary for people in positions of power. So I think we have to challenge that and actually try to engage young people early in the process. You know, the last election in Ontario had a very low voter turnout. We don't want that.
Why do you think? What are some of the things that contributed to that low turnout of voting?
Yeah, you know, it's complicated, right? But I think that people are, especially younger people, people under 40, for example, are not engaging with the political process. And I think that there's this perception that politics is all just toxic, terrible stuff. And we've just been through a pandemic. People are feeling like, I just don't want to deal with anything toxic or negative. So I think we need to remind people that politics is not just about toxic stuff. It's about sidewalks and parks and snow removal and recreation programs and healthcare. It's about all the things that really matter to us on a daily basis. And if we don't have our say in that, then what are we doing?
Gosh, you know, Senator, two things. You know, earlier on when we were talking, you said you actually coined politics as a community. I mean, I've never heard someone say, okay, politics is a community. It's about a people. Yeah, I've heard it before when they say it just to get elected, but you mean it. You actually mean it. You live it, right? It is a people, and it's about being diverse. Diverse doesn't simply mean gender, sex, color of skin, ethnicity. It also means the age at which we engage individual to partake or to roll up them sleeve and say, this is our country. You take a role or a leading role in changing the trajectory.
You really do listen, eh?
I'm listening. I'm ready. That's the name of our that's our show. If we're not listening, then we're not ready to make a decision. You know, we have to be listening, actively listening, so we can make a decision. The next thing that I really want to kind of delve into is you talk about the municipal election and some of the things that you're involved in. You talk about mentorship, and you want to help to shape the next generation, to help them see politics in a different light, right? Could you tell us what the process involves for you? What does that entail?
Sure. So, you know, Andrew, when I first ran for office, I didn't think I would win, because I don't come from a family of politicians, and I didn't grow up seeing people that looked like me sitting around council tables and being mayors. So it didn't occur to me that it was something I could do. And I needed a lot of support, and I needed people to ask me to run, and I needed to feel connected to community before I felt safe enough to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure that people don't wait till they're 40, which was how old I was before I ran for office. I want young people to say, oh, she's done it. Oh, I could do that. Oh, she looks like me. Maybe that's something that I could do. So I am trying to walk the walk and talk the talk there. So that means mentoring Black candidates. I'm mentoring a young Black woman who became a councillor in Saint-Jérôme. Nice. So mentored her when she was running, but now that she's been elected, she also wants to have conversations, right, about what it's like to be in office.
I would love to talk to her.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She's wonderful. Carla Pierre-Paul. And so there's a couple of candidates now here, a young woman, a young Black man that I'm mentoring here in Cornwall. So it's, and then I'm meeting a young Black candidate in Ottawa. So it's about putting it out there that a diversity of people need to run for office. They need to see politics, as you just said, as a community,
yes,
a community work. And it's so, you get so much from it. Really, it's an honor to represent people. And then what you learn about people and what they need for themselves, for their families. It's an honor to receive that information and to work on those things. Door to door, people would tell me about their hopes and dreams, about their struggles. What an honor to receive that information and to be able to act on it once you're elected, right? So I want to communicate that to young people, that politics is also about loving where you live, loving your neighbors, your family, and that you can get a lot out of it on a personal level. So that's what I'm talking about. And then mentoring people as they run, and then once they're elected.
Oh, that's fantastic. I worked with Deputy Mayor Steve Anderson up there in Shelburne, good friend of mine. I knew this guy over 20 years. We grew up right next door to each other. And on August, I'm going to be going up there to help him with his campaigning again to get reelected. Working on the campaign trail with him the first time he was running, it was just, I got to see a different aspect, of this political scene, so to speak. One of the things that came out of working with him was the so-called slogan and the mission. And we talk about what is a mission? We talk about what does the slogan mean? And then we sat for months and we massaged this thing back and forth, trying to figure out, okay, what is it that you're trying to say? I said to him, it's not a slogan. It's a mission that you're going to have to live. And when you live it, it'll become part of you. And it says stronger together. I said, could you imagine when the fingers come together and make a fist, we can pack a punch and change the future? I said, that's what you're going to live. And he's continued to do. I am kudos for him, and he's doing fantastic. Now, Mayor, I know that, Senator, I just said Mayor, look at that. All right, get with it, Andrew. Get with it, Andrew. There's one thing that I kind of wanted to ask you about, just to get your feedback on it. I know we talked about the indigenous people, we talk about the language, we're talking about repair and relationship. We talked also about leveling the playing field, or even to let everyone know that there is no hill in the playing field. It's only in their minds. It's already level. You just got to step up and take a swing at it. But as of recent, there was a little news flash that came about on Global, and it's just talking about Justin Trudeau apologizing on behalf of Canada for the way that Canada treated, its only Black battalion. What does that mean to you when you heard that, on the news? What did that do for you?
Yeah, that was very powerful for me, very powerful. And I have to highlight Senator Wanda Bernard. She, at that event, and she spoke very powerfully about what it means for Black Canadians to hear that. Now, we know that apologies are always a first step,
right,
and are not the last step.
Right.
So it's important to hear the apology, and to be present, and to listen to reactions from Black Canadians around that apology. And what's even more important is what happens next.
Right.
So how are we going to support Black Canadians?
Right.
How are we going to support Black organizations that support Black Canadians? How are we going to make sure that our justice system is fair, that we're not, having overrepresentation of Black Canadians in prisons, for example?
Right, right.
How do we make sure that organizations like Black Opportunity Fund are, doing the work that they need to do? How are we collecting data around what Black people are dealing with when they're trying to start businesses or when they're encountering the healthcare system?
Right.
Are we collecting data? And once we have that data, what are we doing with it? And how are we supporting Black Canadians? So the apology was powerful, important. I received it, with gratitude and grace, and with also questioning what's next. What's next?
Gosh. I mean, hearing that coming from you, it resonates with me, because when I heard the apology, I felt like it was an apology for those who came and gone before me and those that are coming behind me. I thought about my sons, and it was a necessary apology, and it lends itself to the next question. okay, what's next? Because now my curiosity has been piqued. What's next? And how do we move forward to the next step? I have to say that, Senator, this has been an amazing conversation. And what I want to do right now is really kind of ask you, is there a message that you have for our young people that you would really like to say right now to them that would resonate with them, to let them see that there is no hill, there's no valley, the field has already been leveled. You just got to step up and take a swing. Could you just give them a word of encouragement and just let them know it's your time?
It's important for young people to reach out when they need help. That's the thing. We're here. We want to make sure that they succeed. And sometimes that means that they need a mentor, or they need help, or they need to tell us that where the struggle is. So just don't hesitate to reach out, because you will find many people who want to step up and take that journey with them. We need young people. We're not going to succeed without them, and they need to feel safe. They need to feel healthy. They need to find balance, and they need mentors. So, and we're here.
Okay.
We're here.
And my last question for the evening will be, you said reach out, but how do they begin that process to reach out? Is there a particular number that they can call? Is there a particular platform that they can visit to reach out, so to speak, so they can be heard or connect with someone? Is there something that you can recommend?
So I'm going to go back to community. Like wherever you live, there
Yes.
are all kinds of agencies that support. So really, it's you can start with your municipal website, but there are all kinds of local agencies. So keep it local. When
Right.
you're looking for help and you're looking for mentors, it's very good to keep it local. But of course, if there's a senator that you want to talk to, don't hesitate to send an email.
Absolutely.
I've had people reach out to me on my Senate email, and I'm like, okay, let's have a conversation. So be bold in requesting time and in conversations. Be bold.
Gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrew E. Guy alongside the senator herself, Miss Bernadette Clement. It has been a conversation that I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one, hopefully to be in person up there in Ottawa somewhere or in Cornwall. I know that we just gotta tie that bow and finish that knot off and close it out, because I've just got to sit down with this young lady and just have a conversation in person. I think it's going to change the trajectory of where we're going with Ilirpodcast. I am so grateful. I am so thankful. I am so humbled to have this conversation with my senator. I am so glad that I feel represented, that she's in the house with us today, but not only in our house, our voice has been heard with the changes that are going even all the way down the hallway of the Senate to make changes so that your future does not have to be the past that you read about. So, Senator, I want to thank you for your time, and I thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm looking forward to the trails that you're going to blaze, because it's on fire out there. You're doing fantastic. Keep up the great work, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Peace. Until next time, keep listening, live ready, talk soon.